Be honest enough to tell your children, I didn't do well here. Recognize where you went wrong in your parenting and know that there is still hope. Just thinking that overnight they'll change, it doesn't come like that. Something else has taken them over and making them to behave the way they are behaving.
The generation we have now, I don't know what has gotten into them. They believe so much in exposing.
In nakedness.
Because my pastor says that every child is your child.
Yes, I don't sleep. In fact, I follow you bumper to bumper, both in the physical and in the spiritual. You need to spend time to pray for your child. The quality of what you are raising is prince and princesses. You must have a purpose for parenting. Parenting is not something you delegate to anyone.
You must talk, and when there is a need to use the rod, use it, because I use it too. Even the way you pray, your child will pick it up. We have to be present in the life of our children. Before you do the talking, your children want to see you live out this lifestyle. That is the fastest way they hear. The devil is always looking out for ways to get at your children if they don't get to you. Parenting is serious hard work.
All right, so there's something that a lot of parents ignore when carrying out the responsibilities as a parent. A lot of them are not intentional in their parenting. And it's not something that we should ignore, whether in the secular world or as Christians. But more, I want to talk about it as Christians, okay? What are some of the steps we need to take as intentional parents? Intentional parents. And with me on set today, we have a very special guest, a first timer with us, Dr. Edith. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. And of course, our highly esteemed Pastor Margaret Anizo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so very quick one, Dr. Edith. You're a Christian, right?
100%.
100%. I love that. And don't I hear people say 100%. Just say yes. Move on. All right. So, okay, 100% you're a Christian. Now, I know it's not an easy task it's not something you just easily boast about. To say you bring a child to this world, you can raise the child, waiting day there. It's not, I don't think parenting is something we would say it's a waiting day there or what's there. It's just something to just overlook or look at lightly. All right. So what are some of the intentional approaches you would want to recommend as a parent? All right. You have a son, you have a daughter. And what are some of the things you put into consideration when raising your child? Because they are actually primarily your responsibility that God has given you. What are some of the intentional approaches you put in place in raising your children?
Parenting is serious hard work.
Okay.
And it's not what you do haphazardly. Because you have to be intentional. You have to be deliberate. As a parent, you need to set goals that you want to achieve in the life of your child or your children.
Yeah.
Depends
you set
on
goals. You
want to achieve.
Oh, interesting.
Because the truth is that the devil is always looking out for ways to get at your children if they don't get to you. Yes, as a Christian. Yes, and we can cite so many examples from the Bible.
Okay.
Eli is one of them.
Yeah.
A very good priest.
Very serious bad example.
I'm telling you, God had promised him to have his lineage, after him have the burn incense before God and be a priest unto him. But what happened?
It was terminated.
It was cut short because he couldn't really correct his children, even when his children were doing wrong things. And so that promise was taken off from him, from his lineage. We have so many examples in the Bible, a lot. Talk about the children of Samuel. Samuel also had bad children. He was a priest and a king also. So for me, I personally, I pray a lot. I pray for my children. That is one goal you should set. But you pray. You have to pray. Then you also have to do the talking. But before you do the talking, your children want to see you live out this lifestyle. That is the fastest way they hear or they learn.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Your lifestyle
as a parent. Of course. Because most times my daughter will look at me and even correct me sometimes. Mommy, you don't dress this way. Sometimes when you just, lose guard and there's something you're putting on that you're not supposed to put on. Because she knows, she knows what mommy believes and what mommy represents. So our lifestyle, we must check it as parents. And also, we have to be present in the life of our children. When I mean present, you don't have to be absent. We have to follow them every minute, every second, know what is going on in their lives. Don't pretend like you are too busy.
They can take care of themselves.
Oh, yes. Or they can take care of themselves. You have to be present, know what is happening, ask questions, and be very sensitive. Be very sensitive. Yeah. Spiritually, you have to be sensitive. Physically, you have to notice when a child is beginning to pick up habits or do what he or she is not used to doing.
Okay.
Yes. And also, let me go back to our lifestyle. Okay. Very important as parents. If your child sees you, that you always pray, even the way you pray, your child will pick it up. Yeah. And when you are not there, when there is a need to call on God for on a serious issue or when there is trouble, that child will remember quickly that this is what mommy would do.
Intentional mentoring.
Yes.
Without saying I'm mentoring you.
Yes.
Mentoring.
Yeah, actually mentoring.
So another thing again, as a Christian, I remember God in his word. He was saying in Genesis 18, verse 19, he talked about Abraham. He said, I know him.
That he will.
I know him that he will instruct his children, his household, not just his children, his household also after me. The truth is that God is looking up to us as Christian parents. Mm-hmm. In fact, we are the ones that will collect the rod. We are the ones. I don't think God did anything to the sons of Eli. It was Eli God dealt with. So if you think, I'm doing my best, you're going to receive the rod daddy, because God is expecting so much from you as a Christian, that you should be able to raise these children he has handed over to you as gifts. They are not actually your property. God gave them to you, and he does not want them to get lost. He doesn't want anyone to go to hell. So those children has been given to you. You are just a caretaker, and God is seeing you as a priest, as a minister unto those children. And I frown at Christians who come outside and paint this picture of angel, of being right teachers, and in their house, at home, they're like rascals, lions. You need to see the way they quarrel with their spouses. Yes. I can remember not too long, I want to thank God for my husband, and I want to thank God for my family, really. I can actually count how many times I've actually exchanged words with my husband, not in recent time, those early days of our marriage. And Daniel is my first child, and I think Daniel should be 3 to 4 years then, and he was there watching us. We were just arguing. I was angry, and Daddy would talk, and I was replying, and And I think not too long, Daniel reminded me that, Mommy, why were you quarreling with Daddy the other day? You were arguing. I was like, wow, what happened? We're talking three years back. This child, I said, I wasn't quarreling with your dad. We were just exchanging words, we're trying to iron out issues, So the truth is that God is expecting so much from us. And God is not happy when we don't take responsibility, of our children. He is so sad. And there's a sad story in the Bible that I want to share. It's the story of Noah and his daughters. I think for Noah, God expected so much from Noah, because, it took the intervention of Abraham and God's mercy. He brought Noah out of destruction in him and his daughters. And by the time they came to where they were to settle finally, what happened? Noah started drinking, and the children, the first daughter actually said, yes, I'm talking of Noah in the book of Genesis.
Noah or Lot?
Noah.
Okay, Noah. Okay.
Noah.
Okay, I think Lot, yes.
Yeah,
Lot, yes. Even, I'm mixing up. Thank you. It's Lot, actually. Lot's daughters, yes. Thank you so much. So I think when they got to where they were supposed to settle, and something happened, the first daughter said, seeing that there are no men around. Who said that? Where is that coming from? From the pit of hell. Yes. Who said that? Abraham was there, although not in that environment or that, let's say, city where they took refuge or where they, but they were men in the land. They were still men. And how come they just had the idea that we should lie with our father? That was so bad. And the problem we are facing today, the Ammonites and the Moabites, we are descendants from those two girls, which is so bad. So bad. How can, I feel there was something wrong about those children. They're growing up, their upbringing, their hearts. I don't know how they were taught that you could just decipher that in a
Probably
split.
the environment was responsible in their formation.
Environment.
Because since they were in Sodom and God had to destroy Sodom, Sodom has already corrupted the upbringing of a child, even though they were always indoors, but they could see and hear things. And that was part of their formation process. So that could have also contributed. But I think you're correct by saying, because if Lot had done better as a parent, the children would have had the thoughts of laying with their father and producing, having those kids they had as a result of incest.
Which means that is a big problem when you don't raise up your children in the right way, because the problem just transcends. It becomes a generational problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't just end with your family. I know my pastor will always say that child you don't train, you don't correct. Remember that, because he says that children are owned by everyone. If I see someone else's daughter and I don't correct that girl, I bet you tomorrow, God forbid, or what would I say, my son might want to marry that girl. So I will just round off like that. There's a need for us to be intentional. Know that this is what I want as a Christian parent for my child.
Okay, so what's if I come to Pastor Margaret now, what measures, because I heard you say a lot of things, but I've not heard you talk about measures you put in place to correct without, because we say don't spare the rod and spoil the child. So what measures do you put in place, or would you recommend? I don't recall you being a professional in child education or something. So, but from your experience as a mother, right, as a Christian mother and a wife, what measures would you recommend in terms of correcting a child?
Okay, measures. Okay, I will start by saying,
knowing that this is an international audience.
Yes.
There's people who will not agree with when you say, spoil the rod and don't spare the child. Well, nevertheless, go ahead, please.
For me, before I recommend, I know I would talk. There's a need to talk.
Okay.
You can call the child and talk to that child. This is not right. You use examples, good examples. Sometimes I tell my son, look at your father. You use good examples. What they see. It's what I recommend because it works for me. And I'll also recommend that you can pray after you have talked, but you must talk. And when there is a need to use the rod, use it, because I use it too, but not all the time.
Okay.
You can get a little cane.
Little cane.
Or a big cane, it depends on the size. But when there is a need to use the rod, I recommend that also.
When you're talking about sometimes you use the rod, I could see Minister Nonye behind the screen. I know she was like, you do anyhow. All this one is saying talk. Once they want, throw them up, leave them, just tell them, body will tell them. All right. So I could see some of those reactions, because sometimes this key, the Bible says that foolishness abounds in the heart of a child. Yeah. All right. So when this foolishness, they don't give notice. They just envelop the children and they want to experiment. Sometimes they get this foolishness from what they hear other people say and do, and sometimes what they watch on the screen. So, Pastor, I want to find out from you, what are some of your corrective measures you would want to recommend? And also, those professional parents, you are a professional.
Yeah.
All right, you're a professional. So how do you balance your ambition as a profession to grow, to become better, to get promotions, to get to the next level? You want to get more information. How do you balance that professionalism with being a parent? Because I don't think parenting is something you delegate. Right? I don't think parenting is something you delegate. I stand to be corrected. So
No.
I want to find out, how do you balance professionalism with parenting? And then what are some of the measures you would recommend in terms of correction?
Parenting is not something you delegate to anyone. Your home is supposed to be a cradle that you are able to raise for God princes and princesses. So you must have a purpose for parenting, just like marriage. Every marriage, there's a mission for every marriage. So in the parenting too, you must get to have a purpose and a goal, just like she said. So your home is that cradle that you are able to raise. You are not raising a bunch of vagabonds, a bunch of tramps and all. So the quality of what you are raising is prince and princesses.
Okay.
Prince and princesses. So you don't raise prince and princesses by mistake. It's an intentional thing. You must have a purpose. At this age to this age, what am I supposed to do as a Christian? This is what I believe in. This is the standard that I have been taught, or I have gotten to know that is right. How can I be able to pass on that? Is like the baton. How can I pass it?
Baton, yeah.
Yes, because God says our marriage is meant to raise, is a spiritual companionship to raise up a godly generation. So if I have at the back of my mind that I'm meant to raise a godly generation and my home is a cradle, what do I do? Parenting is not just for wife or just for especially if you are not a single parent or if you are not a single mother or single father or a single parent. So if both of you are alive, then it is a job or the work or responsibility of both. In our culture, sometimes we think it's just meant for the woman. It's not just meant for the woman. So there are certain things that should be at the back of your mind, that this is a quality of people that God wants me to raise. God wants me to raise prince and princesses. How do you raise them? How do you raise them? What do you feed them in terms of instructions and instructions, and what are you modeling for them?
So how do you balance that with your professionalism?
Yes, that's what I'm getting there. You don't delegate parenting to another one, whether you are a professional or whether you are the president of your nation or whatever height in society you have reached. You don't delegate to another, because if you do that, the person you are delegating to will take over and pass on to your children a different thing, which is different from a different nature, a different thing which is out, that is off or different from what the original purpose was in God giving you that family. You know, so no matter what it is you are doing, you should be able to first of all know that every child has different temperament. So the manner in which you'll be able to impact certain virtues to one may be different from the manner you will be able to impact in the other. And even the rod of correction, you can't use it. It all differs. What may be able to change or transform this one may not be able to change. So based on the temperament and based on what you have gotten to know, like my sister said, you need to spend time to pray for your child. I remember when my kids were younger, I have adult kids now, you know, but when they were younger, I overheard them say something. It was in the night. They said, mommy will soon get up. This our mommy, she doesn't sleep. And I had just gotten up to check whether the doors were open or closed and all of that, and or whether the lights were on. And I heard that conversation. So I got up. I said, yes, I don't sleep. In fact, I follow you bumper to bumper, both in the physical and in the spiritual. So get it into your heart heart that whatever you do, God will speak to me and tell me about you. So the more you pray about your children and for your children, the more God will also begin to instruct and tell you. There were certain things because God told me about them, I would just ask, you are doing this now, you are doing, and they were shocked, because how did I get to know? It was the Spirit of God that made me to know. So you must know that this is the quality. This is a standard. Prince and princess is what you have been given the responsibility to raise, not touts.
Okay, so very briefly, Dr. Edith, you work in a university environment and you see other children, even though they are adult children. All right, some are almost 18, some are already 18 and above, and the environment. How would you approach, because my pastor says that every child is your child, okay? So how would you approach other children that you see probably were not cultured properly, were not being raised properly? How would you impact their lives? In case someone out there is thinking of, how do I correct this person in my neighborhood? How do I speak to this person? What measures would you want to, just very quickly, all right? Then while, Pastor, you just deliberate on, very quick, briefly too, on a parent out there who is struggling seriously on fixing some of the wrong foundation they already laid for their children that is costing them dearly right now. What measures they can put in place to get help or fix that problem that they have right now? Then I think we'll conclude with that. So let me start with Dr. Edith.
Okay, thank you. For my institution where I work, we see these students. In fact, I'm part of a committee, Student Affairs Committee, and part of our policies we're trying to prepare, it's on dress code, what the students are supposed to wear, the way they're supposed to appear. So, the generation we have now, I don't know what has gotten into them. They believe so much in exposing.
In nakedness.
Exposing. In fact, I don't understand. So, like you said, one of the ways to correct a teenager or a young adult who is wrongly dressed is to simply call their attention and just politely, you are not dressing well. You're not properly dressed. I do this all the time because I can't stand indecent dressing around me. It's just sometimes the way I even look at you most times with my face all, changed and I'm frowning because I don't like indecent dressing around me. So most times what I do,
a general thing for most women, but
it's not for most women.
Well, a lot of men don't complain about indecent dressing. They are being ministered to.
No, I don't think
in the
so.
right direction.
It's not true. Our godly men, they complain.
Okay, godly men, they complain.
Yes, they will complain that they are being harassed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's to politely correct that young person that please learn to or try to wear something presentable that will cover you up, and you're supposed to cover your body and not expose them in such manner. So and the other thing I do is I kind of give a pointer to the hazards or the disadvantage of
indecent dressing.
Of indecent dressing, yes, because you expose yourself to a lot of
hazards.
Harm, yes.
Okay. So very quickly, I asked you about what recommendations you give to a parent out there who's struggling with some of their earlier bad choices. We have a lot of parents, because of the time, I really can't go to some examples, who have made some bad choices and bad decisions over the years while raising their children, probably because of profession. Some have made bad choices. I've seen a parent who made a bad choice because she didn't want to be lonely and she had this guy who was interested in her and didn't listen to the child. And a lot of things happen along the way. Some because of profession, their career meant more to them. Some just because of primarily just hustle. Right, and some as a result of illiteracy. So, and now they are aware of some of the things that they are doing, but it seems like it's too late for them to make any serious impact in their already mature, grown-up child. All right, so what would you advise? Is it actually too late? Is it something you should just write off and live with the consequences, or there are still measures you can put in place to fix that damage they made in their child as an infant or as a young child or as a teenager?
It's not late at all. Sometimes what happened to us is maybe negligence, or we indulge our children,
Yes.
or we followed whatever pattern that we grew up with, and it gave us the same result,
Okay.
which is not good. So it's not late. The major thing is, one, recognizing that there's something wrong. Sometimes we may have to seek for counsel, professional counsel, especially if that child has become very rebellious or is now a prodigal child. You may need to seek for professional counsel. You need to pray, because sometimes just thinking that overnight they will change, it doesn't come like that. Something else has taken them over and making them to behave the way they are behaving. So seeking professional counsel is important. Seeking for praying for the children also is important. Still counseling them. Many times your adult children, you can tell them, look, I didn't do this right when you people were growing up. I need to tell you where I went wrong. It makes a whole lot of difference in the lives of our children. Remember when I was in the university, one of the days, my mom just called me aside and started apologizing to me and said to me, when you were growing up, being the first child, we really, the beatings we used to give to you was too much. Yeah. I want to apologize. I wasn't a teenager then, but I know that I wept. Yeah. I wept. She held my hand and said, forgive me. That's all I knew. That was the only thing I knew. And for it to make such an impact in my life, for my own mom to apologize to me, Abba, it made a lot of impact, and it healed me of something. Okay. So if we have failed as parents, there's nothing wrong. I think some of us need that. Yes. There's nothing wrong in telling our children, look, I did wrong here. I did this wrong, and I want to apologize. It is a step is a positive step to take. And when you do that, the children will now have confidence that, oh, look, if my parents could apologize for this, then any other counsel they want to give me will be something good. So I have done that in the lives of my children too. There are certain things I know I did wrong, and I call them, in this case, I did wrong. I'm sorry. Wow. And I sometimes I watch to see the change. It's so instantaneous. It's so instantaneous. Yeah. In fact, there was one I did, and my sons, they started crying. So you could see that they were wounded by my actions in the past. So there are certain things that we parents can do. Recognize where you went wrong in your parenting and know that there is still hope. All hope is not lost. And be honest enough to tell your children, I didn't do well here. I spoke wrongly here. The actions I took against what your behavior was too harsh and too brash. I want to apologize. You will be surprised the healing that will take place in the life of that child. Some of our children that have become prodigal is because of our actions and our reactions to certain behaviors that they had put up. And when we do that, healings start from there. And then you continue to pray with them and for them, and surely there will be a change, and you'll be able to win back your children.
Okay, well, I think I'm getting a little bit emotional here because I've been a parent also for over a decade, and honestly, the things I've learned from Pastor Margaret and Dr. Edith today, I don't want to be arrogant or proud about it. They have been very, very, very helpful. I've been so blessed. I've been so blessed personally. So I can imagine others will be blessed out there by hearing you guys shared things you've talked about. You're so inspired. But on a lighter note, I think my mom needs to actually apologize to me. The kind of beating I received. Hey, for something I worry. Oh no, Jesus. In fact, it is well. Anyway, that'll just be on a lighter note. But seriously, this has been Nuggets and Psalms. And we'd like you to please share, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Of course, we'll see you again on the next episode.
Amen.
Thank you. God bless you.